This is about the third time that I'm trying to record this video, um, and it's just been a little bit annoying because something wrong has happened each time that I've tried to record it. But anyway, so over the weekend, as I said, I was trying to think of sort of new content to do, of course still Linux based, and I decided to finally upgrade my hard drive. I was being so lazy about it, procrastinating, but I was just tired of opening Chrome and, like, let's say Firefox or whatever, and it just took so long to open. It was just really driving me nuts, but the performance was still good, you know, under DWM. And so I finally managed to take out my hard drive and everything. I didn't have enough time though to like make a proper backup of everything that I had, so I still have my old hard drive, but I needed something really quick and easy to install on my PC. So an OS, I mean, I needed something that was really quick and easy that could just be up and running. And so I wanted to just, you know, mix up the content a little bit, and this video will just be more of a sort of dialogue on my thoughts on this OS that I'm using right now, which I'll get into in a second. But because I went through a small journey this weekend to finally settle down into this, but I'll show you guys what I did. So I initially tried this Garuda Wayfire, I think it was. And this Linux distro is very beautiful if you look at it. And maybe I made the mistake of not choosing the correct variation of it, because when I used it, it was just, for me personally, my experience was terrible under Garuda. I think I was using, let me see, I think it was this one, the Wayfire one. And it kind of reminded me a mix of like a traditional desktop environment with a window manager, and it was pretty neat for about, you know, 2 seconds until I actually tried to do things in it. And for example, the volume keys did not work as they are working now on this laptop here. The Wi-Fi didn't work. I mean, I could scan the surrounding environment, you know, for access points, but I couldn't actually connect. And I think the issue has to do with Conman and my Wi-Fi adapter, because I think that this distro might be systemd free. I'm not too sure. I didn't really look much into this distro. I just thought it was, you know, it looked really interesting, really different, and I was like, you know what, let me give it a shot. And it just did not go well. So not to knock this distro, but it just didn't work out for me. I'm sure it could be good, but I would have to really dive into it and sort of figure out how to configure things before I really would find myself in a good place. And another annoying thing about this distro is that at least this flavor of it is that there's a window effect every time you close a window, and it has like a burning sort of view, and it just started to bother my eyes after a while, like constantly seeing the burning image every time I would close a window. And I was trying to open so many things to fix a lot of things, and it got to the point where I said, this isn't the appropriate time for this. So I might go back into this distro later, but it just didn't work out too well on my laptop right now, at least for something that's like quick and easy. So the next thing that I thought about was Manjaro. And Manjaro is just a flavor of well, not flavor, but a derivative of Arch Linux, and it's pretty good. But I think the one mistake that I made was using the KDE variation, because I've been using Linux for about 10 years now, and when I was a kid, you know, I tried all these distros or whatever, and I first saw KDE, and I mean, this will be a good video for another time, because I'll really talk about how I first ran Linux, because I actually ran it on a PS3, and the PS3, if anybody remembers, it had only 512 megabytes of RAM, and it could barely run, you know, a web browser. This is back in 2010, I'd say, somewhere around there, yeah. So anyway, I saw KDE, and I was so eager to try it because It looked so beautiful, so elegant, so different. It was the only thing that could really compete, I think, with Windows, at least on Linux, that um, looked really attractive in terms of, you know, eye candy and window effects and stuff. So I tried KDE, and I just saw so many bugs. And I don't mean to knock KDE because it's come a long way, but when I first tried it, there are so many things on there that you just would not want a new user to see. Like changing themes was a nightmare, you know. And then as you change themes, some themes didn't carry forward a bunch of other options that others did. So when you would change your theme to a new one, it might retain some old properties of the other theme because the new theme just didn't really focus on that. And you know, it's just so annoying. Like, I think that each time a theme is changed, there should be like a sort of default reset instead of just, all right, these are the new properties, right? So I mean, I don't know, I don't mean to knock it, but there were just some things that really irked me. And the most annoying bug that I ever found in KDE was the mouse cursor. So if you change the mouse cursor, sometimes, I don't know how exactly, if you were to hover over a panel here, the theme would change, right? So you would have the correct theme here, but then up here it would be some weird theme, right, that you didn't set. And I think that the issue was that there are two pointers or reference files to themes, and when you go here it would reference one file, when you go here it would reference another file. And I guess someone wanted to do that, or I don't know if it's a bug, I'm not sure if it's present, but it just really bothered me that I had to really dig into the system to just get it working. And I had the same issue when I tried KDE this time. It wasn't as bad, but I just had issues with text and language packs and things like that, and it just, again, it wasn't what I was looking for. So I then went back online, I started looking at what can I use, you know, and I said, well, Ubuntu's like really easy and straightforward to use, but I said, do I really need everything that Ubuntu has to offer? And then I went back to an OS that I tried years ago when it was still in its early days, and it was this one here, Elementary OS. And it's one of the most minimalist, I guess you could say, OSs out there, I think, because if you look at it, it looks very elegant and stuff, but the packages that it has, it doesn't even have like a fully developed web browser. I think the default web browser is Midori, which is not really that great. It works, but it's a little bit slow. It's definitely not as good as Firefox or Chrome, but yeah, this OS here, it's just really, to me, it's like a plug and play sort of thing. I downloaded the ISO, put it on the flash drive, plugged it in, rebooted, booted from the flash drive, installed in like 15 minutes, I think. So it's really quick and easy, and I think that this OS really shows the power of Linux, because if you really take your time, you can really make something elegant, and they really have here. So I'll just quickly go over certain points, main points on this OS that I think are important. So let's just talk about the look. So it does really look like Mac OS, and I'll go here to the system settings, and we can just see that they've gotten some inspiration from Mac OS, definitely, and some from Windows too. But if we just go into the settings, see it says the operating system, and look at this whole page here just reminds you of Mac OS. We got our hardware here, and then we got our firmware information. So you know, it's very Mac OS like, as I said before, but they don't do it in a very bad way, in my opinion. Like, it's not done poorly, like it's done well, you know. So I wouldn't say it's just a cheap copy, right? Because it's really not. But it definitely draws a lot of inspiration from it, I'd say. But anyway, so in terms of the desktop, I really like it, but there are just a few things that irk me. So let's just go through some of that. There are these gestures which the devs have worked on, and they work pretty well in general. So there's a 3-point gesture to like bring up all of your workspaces and open windows, and you can cycle through them. And I'm not using a lot of the gestures right now because every time I do, I close windows. So I don't like that, and I think it should be touched up on. But there are some good gestures like swiping like this, you know, so it's pretty neat. And one cool thing about it that I really like so far is workspaces. So just like in DWM, you have like the super key, and you can cycle through your workspaces like this. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it keeps populating these workspaces. So by default, you start out with 2, right? So you start out with just 2 workspaces. Once the second one is full, the third one opens, right? Once the third one is full, the fourth one opens. So it auto-populates. And I think GNOME does this already, and KDE probably does it too. But in this OS, I really like it just because it's still minimalistic and it still looks nice. You know, it's like a good mix of the two. Like, I haven't really noticed a moment where I'm like, Jesus, so much crap is running, or there's too much stuff here, right? Because if you look in the settings, there's not really a lot. Even the appearance settings, to really tweak them, you have to install the Pantheon tweaks, because I don't think that there's really a lot of customization. Even in the tweaking tool, there's not really a lot. It's still straight to the point, but it gives you enough that you can make it look like your own thing, and I really appreciate that. So for me, I didn't really like the icon pack that comes with Elementary OS. They just look like kiddie, you know, like a toy sort of educational device, like a toy laptop for a kid. That's what I think that they kind of look like. Not to knock them, but it's just my opinion. But overall, the OS has been great. There are just a few bugs with the gestures, but I think that can be ironed out. Also with certain apps like overlaying over the desktop, you might need to bring up this panel down here in order for the overlay to display itself. So I think there are a few bugs, but nothing really game breaking, I would say. Everything still works. I haven't really noticed any big issues. So I'm really pleased with this system. I'll use it for maybe about a month or so, and then I'll probably bounce back to Arch Linux when I have time to really back everything up and restore it. But this is just a good sort of quick way to get your system up and running, and I'm kind of surprised because I expected more bloat, but there wasn't even like an Office suite. There was no LibreOffice. There was no Open Office. There's nothing. You have to install it, you know, and I really like that. And everything's been really stable, like I said before. Nothing big, no major issues. Just some bugs here with the gestures, but I mean, do you really need to use a lot of those, or you could just go direct like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? One thing that did bother me though, and I'm not sure if this is a bug, is this terminal here. So you can set transparency within let's see, within the settings app like this. If we go into the tweaking tool, the terminal, we can set the background color here, and we can set the transparency within here. That's all nice, but if we go here, we'll notice that it's not transparent. But when you walk into the workspace, it is transparent. And this is the weirder part, because I'm not sure if this is a bug or if this is how it's supposed to work. I mean, this looks like it might be a bug, because that just doesn't make any sense to me. But this is where it gets weird. If you bring down the window, whoops, sorry, still getting used to these gestures. Oh darn it! There you go. Okay, so if you bring down the window here for the terminal, it then becomes transparent. So it's confusing to me. Like, is this a bug or is this a sort of choice? So I don't know. I'm not too sure. I can't remember if before the tweaking tools were installed, if transparency was already set. I can't really remember, but I think that this is really weird. So I might just end up using a different terminal, because this to me is just really weird. But other than that, everything works well. So again, I did this video because I wanted to change up the content just to see how it would be to just give my thoughts on an OS. You know, an elementary OS is definitely a really elegant way to do Linux. You know, it's, you have everything that Linux has. You have the stability of Debian, of, you know, Ubuntu, but it removes a lot of the junk. Well, not Debian, but like Ubuntu has a lot of junk. So this really gets you to the point, and it's minimalistic, and I like the how the workspaces work. So it's not a window manager, but it's not a full desktop with a bunch of stuff on it that you really don't need. Look at the top here. You know, there's just very simple options that you have. You don't really have a lot, and I kind of appreciate that. And it's funny because when I was a kid, I used to think, you know, when I would see Windows XP, God, I'm dating myself now. When I used to see Windows XP, I used to think, wow, this is really dated. And I would look at Windows 7 and I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. Look at all the effects, the minimizing effect. The arrow effect was so cool when I first saw it. But then the older I've gotten, the more I just want things that work, you know? Forget about a lot of cool effects here and there. Just get me something that's fast, that's light, and does what I needed to do. And that's why I really love window managers. But this desktop here is kind of like that. So I think that for me, this is what I would use forever if I could not use DWM or BSPWM or some other window manager. I think I would stick to this desktop because it's very small and lightweight. But anyway, this is a bit of a long one, I think. A lot of thoughts that I've had. If you appreciate the content, you think that Rin over here is hot, no judgments. If you like the fat fluffy red hamster, please give a like and a sub, and I hope that you found this useful.